Welcome back to another video, guys, and today we're continuing with the interview series. Today we have TJS, the leader of the Justice Squad, on the phone here with us. TJS, say hi, man.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Alright, guys, you heard him. TJS is with us, and we're gonna be asking him a bunch of questions today. So without further ado, let's get going. So TJS, how did you find about the game? When did you start playing? Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with the game?
Yeah, I came across the game. An ad popped up somewhere along the line, and it looked interesting, and I downloaded the game and sort of got addicted, as most people do. Yeah.
All right, nice, nice. Moving on to the next question. The first question is, how far can a free-to-play player see the game ahead? Why did you choose this path, and are you willing to stick to it? This question is from RFG 1982.
Yeah, thanks for that question, RFG 1982. Um, yeah, to be honest, I try not to focus too much on the future. It's a bit hard to anticipate what's gonna happen in the game and in life in general. Within the game, I don't expect huge changes in the near future. Um, Maybe some small adjustments or something like that, and I'll just try and adapt to those adjustments as they come. As to the question of why I choose to be free to play, I guess that's just more a personal choice. I'd personally rather use money on more important things. That's basically why I'm free to play. Whether that may change in the future, the you know who knows? That may well change. But if I did decide to spend money, it would probably be very little. But I'm happy with the game free to play as it is at the moment.
All right, yeah. I do agree that we have to adapt to the changes that developers made because and then just adapt to them and keep going, keep playing and try out new strategies, I guess. But yeah, right. Moving on to the next question from Apex Spread. If you could be in charge of a development team for a day, what changes would you make in the game?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Apex Pred. It's a bit of a hard question, that one, and I think there's many things I'd like to change. Probably too many things to go right into too much detail about. Just to mention a couple of things. Probably firstly the distance. I think there could be some changes made there. You've got the hard mode and the normal mode. I usually play the hard mode, but I have played the normal mode once, and I was a little surprised how easy it was, especially compared to the hard mode. There just seems to be a huge jump in difficulty. It'd be good to see some sort of medium level there where you can have a bit of fun playing through there without it being too easy. And the other thing I think I'd like to see changed is the badge system. If it was up to me, I'd make some adjustments with that. Firstly, I think the odds when you're crafting a badge, the odds seem to favour the lowest possible outcome. I'd like to see that change more, or I would change it more to, crafting a badge of more likely to become the mid-range level with a small chance of perhaps the highest possible outcome, and also the chance of a lower chance outcome, the lowest possible outcome. But like I said, I think there'd be many things I'd change, but that's just two off the top of my head.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like the new gas events they do for the distance, being one gas per mission, because the gas cost was a problem for a lot of free-to-play players. How do you feel about that, the gas change?
I
So,
think that was a huge bonus, especially during the challenge. It didn't interfere with the challenge at all. Yeah, if they could reduce the cost in gas, that would just make things a lot easier and take take less time away from the challenge itself.
hmm,
Yeah,
all
I
right.
think that was a good move. Whether they'll keep the one gas up, I doubt that. But maybe they could reduce the cost
Hmm,
to
all right.
perhaps 2 or 3 gas rather
Hmm,
than the 4.
yeah.
Um, it just seems that you've got to, you know, for me, I'm pushing with that and the challenge most of my evening, and then trying to finish the distance off in the morning. Yeah, it's a bit difficult, especially when the challenge is on, to try and balance the two.
All right. Yeah, yeah, fair enough. Um, Next question, next couple of questions actually are from Monsura. Do you feel comfortable that Elder can kick anyone beside leader out of your guild? Should NG change that? Do you enjoy the first 1k stars grinds? And do you think the badge system is great?
Uh, okay, thanks for that, Monsula. Uh, First of all, just like to say I love your little new avatar, Jerry. There always makes me laugh. Um, yeah, I, I I wouldn't say I'm uncomfortable with it, but I think there's definitely some room for improvement there. Um, Perhaps a suggestion would be, rather than elders being allowed to banish, perhaps having an approval from another elder or the leader itself before a player is banished. And I only say that because it hasn't happened to me personally, but I've read about other guilds having rogue elders that have just, I don't know, for whatever reason, decided to banish multiple, if not all, members, and just destroy a guild, which must be terrible for anybody who's in a guild that happens to. For that reason, I think it should be changed to some degree. Perhaps giving the elders a little less power. Perhaps, like I said, having a second elder approve a banishment, or the leader itself.
All right.
And the follow-up question was,
The first 1k stars grind.
the 1K. I don't think anyone enjoys that. I try and burn through that first 1K as quickly as I can. It always becomes a bit more fun and challenging when you get up to the after the 1K limit. It'd be, they've played around with the pass system, and I think the introduction of that is good. I like the passes, but yeah, since the last update, they lowered the starting level for everyone, so that first 1K grind can be a little bit too much. Moving on to the badge system, I think the badge system's great, to be honest. You can really build up your survivors, make them much more powerful than they ever could have been. I think that was a good move. Again, like as I mentioned before, I think there could be some changes with the system. But in all, I think it was a good introduction, and I do enjoy it. It'd be good if the drop rates of fragments were a bit more increased. We seem to get a lot more components than fragments. and like I mentioned before, the crafting part of it, it'd be good to see some changes in that. But in all, I enjoy the badge system. I think it's good.
All right. Nice. Moving on to the next question from Movado. As a free-to-play player, what do you think is the best to allocate gold spending on, and are you tempted to buy bundles?
Thanks, Monvado. Yeah, I like this question actually. As a free-to-play player, where I spend my most gold is in the beginning of a challenge. I'll buy a few fuel refills and try and push through that first 1000k grind. It's always good to keep some gold handy for when you're doing calls and that. You don't want to call up a great survivor and not be able to pull them on board. So I think it's important to keep enough for a survivor slot to drag a new survivor in. But in all, I'll usually use most of my gold for the gas refills. Maybe at the end of a challenge, if there's multiple gold crates, I might pay the 25 to open them. But because I do that grinding in the early stage with a few gas refills, I find that I have to spend less gold on healing times towards the end of the challenge. To be honest, I don't really spend much on healing times at all. I'll grind as hard as I can, and then I've got a few days to play the hard levels and just let my survivors heal and do a bit of scavenge runs.
All right. Nice. Moving on to the next questions. A couple of questions actually from Z Black. Would the cost of buildings getting increased all the time? It takes ages to farm supplies. How do you feel about that? What would you have added to the game to make it fun for the players?
Yeah, thanks, Z-Back. To be honest, it doesn't bother me too much about the farming supplies to upgrade. I don't see the importance in the rush. And I don't think it takes too long after an update before you reach that maxed out level again. I've just reached player level 67 yesterday, so it didn't take me too long. I didn't spend too many supplies when they had the supply for trade, so I was able to upgrade my training grounds and that sort of thing pretty quickly. And then I did a few scavenger runs and built up my supplies. And yeah, so I don't think it's too much of a worry, to be honest. And I don't think it's a rush. No need to rush, but before you know it, you're maxed out and you've got supplies running out your ears. So it doesn't, that part of it doesn't bother me. What would I add to the game to make it more fun? Well, I think events like we're having this weekend, the 7-day hero event, I think that adds a bit of fun and a bit more push for players. More events like that add a bit more fun. But I think in all, if you're not finding the game fun, it's when you've got to question whether you keep playing or not. It's a bit more difficult for somebody who's thrown in hundreds of dollars to just walk away from the game. But if you're not enjoying the game, I just don't see the point, to be honest. But yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, usually if you spend money on the game, you would actually stay and play it for months and years to come, because obviously you like the game, that's why you spend money on it. But anyway, let's move on to the next question from Jaden. As a free-to-play player, what do you think about the frequency of cancel upgrades? Do you ever manage to max out survivors and gear before the next upgrade? What annoys you and what do you enjoy the most?
Yeah, thanks for that, Jaden. The frequency of council upgrades. I think sometimes they come a little too soon. But again, it doesn't bother me too much. When I last few months of playing, I'm usually at the max there, and I look forward to the council upgrade so I can move up. And I think that's just part of the way the game works. There's always going to be a council upgrade. It'd be good if the frequencies were a little bit less, I think. So like he mentions, do I ever manage to max out my survivors and gear? No. No, I don't ever manage to do that. Usually I'm close to getting my A team pretty right, and then before I know it, they've got the council upgrade. But it doesn't bother me too much. You can still keep that gear and use it as you move, as you upgrade, and yeah, I think that's just part of the game, and yeah, I don't think we can do much about that. I think that's just the dynamics of how the game works. What do I enjoy most? I think what I enjoy most is the challenges and the interaction with guild members, helping them and giving them advice as best I can. When the guild's running smoothly and everyone's putting in, I think that's when I really enjoy it the most. When there's a lot of communication and things are running really smooth. That's when I'm really enjoying the game. What annoys me the most, I guess, opening gold crates and getting rare gear. That can be pretty annoying. Yeah, the frequency of legendary gear just seems to be less and less. Since this update, I think I've got most of my legendary gear through the distance. And now I'm player level 67. I'll start buying some gear in the trade shop, but yeah, with trade. But yeah, I think that's what annoys me the most. Is you like, for example, this weekend we've got the jackpot weekend, and you'll get 9 gold crates, and you might get 9 pieces of rare gear. That can be pretty annoying, but I try not to let things bother me too much. I expect the least and hope for the best, and I think that's the best way to look at it.
All right. Moving on to the next question from Do Talk. What changes would inspire you to spend money on the game?
Thanks for that question, Do Talk. What would inspire me? I think if the bundles were a little bit cheaper, I might consider it. You buy a weapon bundle, and like we're going back to the question before about council upgrades. As soon as there's a council upgrade and you're leveling up, that gear becomes a bit obsolete. So if the bundles were a little bit cheaper, that might inspire me. As Monsula was kind to remind us, the Halloween bundle that came out that was at the wrong price, I mean, that would have made me spend, I think, pretty well straight away. But and I think that's an important point there for NGs. If I was to spend on a bundle such as that Halloween bundle for €9.99, I think if I spent once, I might spend again. and I think that would happen with a lot of people that are free to play. I think once you've spent once, you're more inclined to spend again. Yeah, but just in general, if bundles are a bit cheaper, yeah, that might inspire me. Or if they had a special bundle like that
Wait,
Halloween
so
bundle.
you've never bought a booster before, not even a gas booster for 199?
No, never bought a gas booster, never an
Oh,
XP booster, never.
all right. All right, nice, loyal free-to-play player. As a free-to-play player, what are your suggestions on how to deal with the hero token dilution by D-Bones?
Thanks, D-Bones. That's a difficult one again. Yeah, I think it's inevitable they'll introduce more heroes. I think that's just part and parcel of the game, and that dilution just gets bigger and bigger, and it is a problem. You never seem to be able to upgrade your favourite heroes. Um, uh, Weekend events like we've got the 7-day hero event now. That's obviously a big help, but I don't think that's a solution to the problem. No, it's a hard question to answer. I can only perhaps give a suggestion of perhaps a hero token, a wild hero token card. Throw that in the mix where if you get the wild hero token card, you can put the tokens on any hero you want. That might help the dilution a little bit. But I think that dilution's always going to be there to some respect. Yeah, that's a difficult one. I wish I could answer it better. I don't think I have any solution for the problem, but yeah, just as a suggestion, perhaps a wild card hero tokens, where you can apply it to any hero you want. But yeah,
That's
I wish
actually
I
a
could
really good
answer that
suggestion.
better.
I never really thought about this in this way, but to be honest, the Hero Week, these special 50 radicals are actually a huge improvement in my opinion because people have been getting thousands of hero tokens just for like what 50, 60 radios, 70 radios, some of them, and that's actually a really good exchange, I believe. So if we could see this happening in future with other heroes, maybe we have like different rounds every month, like 1 week every month should be like a hero week, so every month we get different heroes, which is gonna be
Yeah,
pretty
that would be
nice.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, and this way people will be able to stack radios, so they're gonna be waiting for the hero week to come. They're gonna have like a couple of weeks there to stack radios before the next hero week. Even for free to play players, I think that's gonna be pretty good. Yeah, nice. Let's move on to the next question from Governator. What keeps you motivated to keep playing?
Thanks, Governor. What keeps me motivated is just being a leader of the guild and trying to keep the players together. That's a motivation. Trying to help the lower level players in my guild move further. I really enjoy the guild aspect. I think that's a big motivator for me. Just having that friend basis and giving advice and trying to build the guild. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
just enjoy playing, and helping others and just being a group and trying to move up that leaderboard. That keeps me playing, I guess.
All right. Yeah, everyone has different motivations to keep playing. But yeah, all right. Final questions for this interview from SCMBA. If you could rate yourself, would you rate yourself? Hmm.
Thanks, CMBA. Um, if I could rate myself, of course I would. It'd be interesting to see how your defense is set up. try and better your defense. But I think the whole outpost thing is a bit of a disappointment. I think we were all surprised that badges didn't work in the outpost defense, and I don't think your defense has got much hope, to be honest. I've gone up against when I was still my survivors were level 22. I'd go up against outposts with level 23s and upgraded walkers and whatnot. I think it's level 26, the walkers. I didn't have any trouble walking in and out of there with the trade goods and the influence. I think it's something that NG needs to look at and try and adjust. I don't have the answers for it, but I just think the outpost is a bit of a failure at the moment with the badges not on defenders. I just think they're outmatched every time. Yeah, but if I could raid myself, yeah, I certainly would, and I'd try and better my defense, but I don't think you've got much chance, to be honest. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. With that, we're gonna wrap up the interview with TJS. TJS, do you have any final words to say, maybe to your guildmates or to whoever is watching the video?
Yeah, thanks, Payne. Yeah, I would like to thank all the members of my guild. I'm not going to name individual names, but you all know who you are, and I appreciate your work a lot. Many of you have been with me for a long time, and I really appreciate that loyalty. I will shout out to one of my guild members, Trinity. She's been with me since day one, and I call her my little good luck charm. And I think she's partly why my guild's been as successful as it has been. Yeah, thank you all, and thanks everyone for listening to the interview.
All right, with that, we're gonna wrap up the interview with TJS. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview, and as always, I'll see you guys all on my next video.